Hi, we're talking about Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein.
Off the bat, I have to say, what a damn fun watch this film is. A magical action comedy adventure? Yes please, right up my alley. Now, first of all, what a lineup. Nick Cage, Alfred Molina, Jay Baruchel, Teresa Palmer, Toby Kebbell. We even get Monica Bellucci for like 5 minutes. And we also get Alice Krige, who looks like she left the set of The Little Vampire and came straight here. And also, we have to shout out the director, John Turteltaub, who did both of the National Treasure films, which also had Nick Cage. Now, are those good movies?
Absolutely not.
Are they enjoyable as all hell?
Hell yeah, pimp!
Now, yes, there is a lot of young romance cringe throughout the film. And obviously, it doesn't make a lot of sense for college kids to be able to just come and go from the top of the Empire State Building whenever they want. But regardless of how you feel about some of those smaller details, you really cannot deny that this film had some really fun and unique uses of magic. From the big and flashy stuff, like Balthazar creating a steel eagle that comes to life that he can ride on, shape-shifting, soul-stealing, a parade dragon being turned into a real dragon, the callback to the 1940s original Sorcerer's Apprentice, and trapping people within the mirror dimension like Doctor Strange. To even a lot of the smaller things that are still impressive, like turning a calendar picture of wolves into a real pack of wolves, temperature control, and spells for cleaning your car as well as changing its shape. Eat your heart out, Mr. Weasley. What I enjoy most about it all is that magic and technology, or magic/science, however you want to phrase it, it actually works pretty hand in hand here. A year after this released, Thor came out in theaters, and there's a comment that Thor makes when he's speaking with Jane Foster.
Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science. Well, I come from a place where they're one and the same thing.
That's exactly the kind of vibe and tone that this film was going for. Now, there are numerous examples, from Balthazar explaining how the fire spell works, to Dave needing non-rubber shoes because magic harnesses the natural electrical energy in our body and the rubber will hamper his connection. But my favorite is the use of the Tesla coils. They do show up a lot since we spend so much time in the lab, but they're used to help defeat Morgana in the end. And speaking of the ending fight, Dave's plan against Morgana is the purest form of sleight of hand magic, which is misdirection. His opening move is to animate the cables he needs to power his coils, and the rest of the time says, "Hey, look at me, look at all these plasma bolts I'm shooting, bang bang, oh I'm so impressive, you gotta look over here." And then when he sets off the trap, he just goes full auto on this lady. It's pretty incredible. While I enjoy the cast as a whole and believe everybody did a pretty great job with their parts, there are two characters in particular that I'd like to talk about, and one of whom I really didn't expect I'd want to talk about before starting this script, and that character is Drake. Drake isn't in the film for very long, but he is the minion we get to spend the most time with. And what time we do get to spend with him is not only humorous, but upon closer inspection, gives us a lot of depth into who he is. When Horvath first goes to meet him, he's seen being pampered in his office, but the moment he realizes who Horvath is, he instantly shows respect. And the only time in the film Horvath actually speaks down to him, Drake readily defends himself.
Look, my master disappeared when I was 15, vanished. Left me with nothing but an incantus and some prescription-grade abandonment issues. So I improvise.
And when Horvath tells him about current events, Drake steps right into line. He manages to trick Balthazar by shape-shifting into Dave, and does manage to outdrive the heroes in the car chase scene, clearly showing that he's competent despite his classical lack of training. What's more, we also see how much of a people person he is, not just with his fans, but even with Dave. When they first meet in the bathroom, Drake starts by just toying with Dave, but when Drake realizes Dave really doesn't understand what's going on and how out of depth he is, Drake actually tries to talk to Dave and help him relax and concentrate so he can use spells. It only gets interrupted because Horvath shows up.
Nothing is happening.
Have you cleared your mind?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's
I
the
got
nerves
nothing.
and
There's
expression.
nothing happening. I'm new at
The
this.
ring's on. Take the ring off.
Take off the ring.
Yeah, it doesn't help me.
Enough.
Not to mention, this guy is so cool, they put him in Magic the Gathering. 10 out of 10, no notes. The other character is Balthazar. Sure, he looks like he's cosplaying as Van Helsing, and he seems annoyed a lot of the time, but given what he's been through, you certainly can't blame him for the latter. But despite what he's been through, and despite the current danger, he's surprisingly understanding and patient with Dave. When they first meet and Dave shows no interest in being a part of things, Balthazar makes a simple deal with him to get the Grimhold back in exchange for being left alone.
You help me get it back, you're done.
Really?
You can walk away.
Yes, Dave changes his mind and decides he wants to learn magic, but Balthazar honored his word and tried to let him walk away.
You may now return the ring to me. I'm a man of my word. You help me, we're done.
I'd like to learn some more.
Dave blows off training numerous times to see Becky, and though Balthazar is annoyed at times, he always gives Dave his space. Towards the end, Dave trades the Grimhold and his ring to save Becky. And yeah, Balthazar is disheartened, but he does say,
I would have done the same thing, Dave.
He does his best to keep Dave calm when they're pushed through the mirror dimension during the car chase scene, and he's genuinely glad that Dave has found love.
You know, I am glad she likes you. No, I am not surprised. Only glad. There's nothing like it, is there?
Also, I think Dave's best friend Bennett needs an honorable mention. The dude was in the middle of wine by the fireplace with a straight baddie, yet dropped what he was doing with no questions asked because he knows Dave well enough to know that if Dave says something is an emergency, it must be. So he shows up with what Dave needs and is pretty supportive despite not knowing what's going on. If I really had to dig in and nitpick about anything regarding the story, oddly enough, it's not about any of the Merlin stuff, the fact that some of the other magical minions were pretty underutilized, or even the fact that somehow the protagonist didn't realize that they didn't kill Horvath and he's just still out there somewhere. No, instead, there's actually one particular plot point that I'd like to focus on. Early in the film, when Dave takes Balthazar to his lab, he comments,
Originally a subway turnaround. They let me work down here because some of my experiments skew a bit dangerous. Oh, my professor has a hookup, so nobody knows we're down here.
But then later in the film, Horvath goes to Dave's college and chants the front desk attendant and finds out that
here it is. He has an unauthorized lab space.
So how in the name of Merlin can both of these statements possibly be true? If the lab is in the school system, it should be registered. If it's in the computers, then anyone in the staff can find out about it, which means that Dave's teacher clearly lied to him. And if the school had a record about an unauthorized lab space and knew for a fact that what Dave was doing was dangerous, why hasn't anyone stopped him until this point? Also, the computer screen says that he merely put in a request for space. It doesn't say anything about whether or not it was actually approved. Anyway, point being, this is a really solid watch, and I'd recommend it to anyone, any day of the week.
Stop the presses!
Welcome back to another episode of 6 Degrees of Muppets, aka Mickey's Magical Muppet Minutia. I don't know, we'll figure out a title later. Anyway, let's get started. Alice Krige, who played Morgana, was also in The Little Vampire with Richard E. Grant, who was in Loki with Owen Wilson, who starred in The Wedding Crashers with Vince Vaughn, who wrote and starred in Couples Retreat with Jon Favreau, who was in I Love You Man with Jason Segel, who starred in the 2011 Muppets movie. Another one for the books, baby. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for watching if you've gotten up to this point. The next episode is going to be another long-form retrospective similar to the X-Men video I did about 2 weeks ago. I'm also going to have some more critical cinema in the works, so be on the lookout for that. As always, if you've got a suggestion, you can feel free to leave it in the comments below or shoot me a message or comment on Twitter. But for now, I'm curious, what do you think?
musical styles are still a very important form of communication for our young people. Hi, I'm Joe Feinstein.